Hey, um, I've moved house. I've moved apartment. I feel like you can't call it a house. Um, yeah, I moved apartment. So I've been pretty busy. Um, pretty crazy time. Pretty hard, pretty miserable. Um, I guess a bit of a lesson in planning. A bit of a I can't even say really a wake up call. I feel like I've kind of been anticipating many of the difficulties that cropped up. Um, and I come out on the other side okay. But for for a while I was just I was very stressed. Um, I didn't have housing sorted out. I didn't have a job, which obviously makes getting housing incredibly difficult. I was organizing, this housing with someone who lives on the other side of the country and is moving up here, so I was having to do, the groundwork, which is fine, or necessary, but it's nothing I've really done before. Obviously, I've been renting for the past almost like 5 years. I guess if well, including student accommodation. So, this is kind of different, I suppose. But I've never really been the one who has kind of actually had to sort this shit out. I've always managed to sort of weasel my way out of doing the kind of proper, difficult adult admin roles. So, it was necessary, definitely. But I've just been driving myself around the bend, to be honest. Yeah, but I'm here now. I've still got another like 10 odd days before my friend moves up and they have all the furniture. Hence why it's looking particularly barren. Um, yeah, it feels horrible. I really hate the sort of in between period, um, the the process of moving because it breaks the illusion that we kind of have a security, um, and we have a place that is our own, um, because we don't like even if you buy a place, you're not like it's not permanent. It's just the illusion of permanence. Obviously, you might buy a place and die in the place, but you know we kind of tie a lot of emotional security, I suppose, onto the places that we live. And I haven't lived somewhere other than my family home over a year. So, and it's very turbulent, just kind of not being able to sort of settle somewhere entirely, even though you know that it's kind of only feeding into this sort of illusory idea that you actually have somewhere to be. Um, but yeah, so I'm in a very, very empty, well, it's very full of shit, but it's all shit on the floor. But empty, I guess, relatively flat. Which has a long way to go before it starts feeling like a place that I can actually live in. I do feel a little bit like I'm squatting right now. But things will change. Yeah. I've I've really found it um challenging to I guess like balance is just on top of my um regular life. I feel like I've just the general like anxiety of trying to find work and trying to find housing and kind of, you know, feeling very lost because I am in my 20s, and as everyone says, it's the time where nobody knows what they're doing. So it should be fine, but um yeah, I feel like it's kind of just sort of ticked around to the point where I guess I am often thinking like, you know, what am I doing here? Um, how how have I um strayed so far from any idea of what my life would be? Um, yeah. So I guess over the past like couple days, because I've had a bit of a, I guess, can't say revelation. It's not a revelation, but with things being sorted out with the flat and with work, I've been able to have a little bit more clarity just over my behavior. And like, number one, I know that I need um medication. I need to go back on medication, which is a shame. I kind of was hoping that I would have miraculously sort of sorted my head out. But um yeah, no, my kind of my general the point I was initially making, my general anxiety about these events that I've had to be very involved with has just bled into everything. Like I just have become a bit of a um paranoid freak for um you know, yeah, for a while. And it's been really hard, yeah. I feel like I've kind of had my friendship sort of decay a little bit, just because I've not been able to kind of engage. And my old kind of underlying um, lack of self-worth and insecurity has been just kind of feeding into this sort of very negative thought kind of spiral, which is being kind of stoked by this anxiety, and it's you know all the typical shit like no one likes me, like none of my friends like me, I'm a freak, like I'm not kind of valued in the kind of friendships that I have because I'm not worthy of anyone's time or all the shit, which makes you act like a freak around your friends because you're always like and so it kind of starts to happen, you stop being invited to things and you start kind of being pushed away a little bit. Um, so that needs to change. My relationship is on the rocks, which is shit. My partner is going to travel. Um, a month from now, we'll be leaving the continent and going far away. For probably around 6 months. It's kind of indefinite depending on various factors, but yeah, again, it's been an ongoing kind of issue that every time I kind of have a lapse in my mental health, um, yeah, it kind of drags the relationship under quite a bit because you know we're both young and we don't really know how to give each other what we need, and we're not able to talk to each other about things that we should sometimes. We have been able to have a conversation about this, because I felt like it was kind of necessary, and I was feeling emotionally sturdy enough. But yeah, I mean that was really hard. Um, but I think it's kind of been left on a sort of like we'll just have to see what will happen, and um, yeah, I guess that is what will happen. That is what will happen. We'll see what will happen. Um, yeah. What else? I mean, I want to see this as, an opportunity for me to kind of focus on myself, and it sounds very cringe, all this sort of self-help bullshit, buzzwords, but like I feel like, I'm a very um there's a lot of shit that I have to deal with that I've kind of sort of touched on, and I acknowledge it, and I sort of look at it and I think, wow, that's not great. And I tell people about it. I'm like, wow, look, look at this baggage I have. But I don't really address it or do anything about it a lot of the time, which is why I still feel like I kind of have massive issues with my self-worth, even though I'm no longer a, adolescent with, raging kind of depressive hormones. Um, and I do feel like, yeah, it's like it's pretty negatively afflicted affected my relationship purely because I've kind of used it as a opportunity to completely dedicate myself to somebody else. Um, in so much as I am able to lump any sort of responsibility for my own aspirations, my kind of dreams off. I just am able to kind of put them on the back burner and focus on kind of being with someone and doing things with someone, and therefore I never really have to think about what I want, because I don't I can't kind of have hope hopes, dreams for myself. Um I can, I have to learn to, but I've found it very difficult because, as many people I'm sure with, similar kind of um melancholy predicaments, melancholy kind of personalities, depressives. It's hard to kind of um, have any sort of like aspiration a lot of the time. And this is all. It feels kind of embarrassing to talk about it because this is all stuff that I kind of was thought that I was sort of done. Um, Mulling over. But now that the prospect of kind of being on my own is on the horizon, I kind of realise in pretty like, frank terms that like I just don't know how um to live for myself. Um and I need to learn to have goals and have aspirations, because the fear of not living up to them is destroying any hope of me ever doing anything that will make me truly happy, or ever finding out, who I can be. My kind of, yeah, my fear of failure is preventing me from ever growing in that way. And it just leaves me with a lot of resentment and jealousy for the people who are brave enough to go and do what they want to do, rather than just sort of kind of hiding behind someone. Um, yeah, that's my that's my self-assessment, and I am prone to being slightly harsh on myself, but I think it's kind of, yeah, again, it's kind of gone to the point where I am a bit sick and tired of being sick and tired. Um, and I just need to, yeah, again, get the help I need and knuckle down because otherwise I think I'll just sort of, I don't know, simmer out a little bit. Um, but yeah, it's a new place, it's a new opportunity. I have a couple of new jobs, one of which I do really already desperately want to get rid of because it's a shit show. But the other two, the other two, I'm looking forward to. That's good. This year I want to get back into my creative practice and I'm going to force myself to submit things to magazines and competitions and, you know, offer to do things with my friends because I know, a lot of my friends are creatives and I'm sure that they would be open to working with me because they don't hate me, I don't think. Well, I do think, but I logically don't think. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think once I'm able to kind of start doing what I know that I want to do, then I'll really only have the option to start liking myself a bit more. And yeah, hopefully I'm able to build up a little bit more emotional resilience. And I guess we'll see what happens with everything else. Yeah. Next time you see me, hopefully there will be some more decorations. Bye bye.